The older man looked at him, not with judgment, but with calm curiosity. "Are you always running like this?" he asked, his voice carrying a slight accent. Henry froze. "Excuse me?" "Your fingers, your eyes, your breath. Everything is racing," the man continued, "as if you're trying to exist in 3 places at once." Something about those words struck Henry deeply. Yes, he admitted. "I think so." The man smiled gently. "My name is Kenji. Do you want to know why you can't stop?" Henry should have found it strange. A complete stranger offering advice. But there was something about Kenji's calm presence that made him listen. "Yes," Henry said quietly. "I really want to know." Kenji closed the old book in front of him. "Your mind is too full," he said, "like an overflowing cup. You try to pour in more control, more effort, but it only spills over. When there is no space, there is no control, only reaction." Henry exhaled. "So how do I fix it?" "First," Kenji replied, "you learn Mushin, empty mind." Henry frowned. "That sounds like meditation." "I've tried it. It doesn't work for me." Kenji laughed softly. "It's not meditation. It's combat practice. Samurai didn't meditate to relax. They meditated to survive." He leaned forward. If a samurai's mind became fixed on a single thought during combat, he died. Simple. Henry swallowed. "You're fighting every day," Kenji continued, "against emotions, people, situations. And you're losing because you're fighting the wrong way. You try to control everything, but control doesn't come from force. It comes from emptiness." "Empty?" Henry repeated. "Yes," Kenji nodded. "When the mind is empty, there is space. Space to choose. Space between what happens and how you respond. We call this Ma, the sacred interval. True self-control lives there." Something stirred inside Henry, like a truth he had always known but never named. "And how do I learn that?" he asked. Kenji picked up a napkin, wrote an address, and slid it across the table. "Tomorrow, 6 a.m. I'll show you." Chapter 3. The 3 principles. Henry arrived at 6:03 a.m. late. The address led to a small, hidden dojo. Inside, Kenji sat in seiza, the formal posture, facing a small altar with a single lit candle. "Sit," Kenji said. Without turning, Henry lowered himself awkwardly, his legs protesting immediately. "Close your eyes. Breathe." Henry obeyed, and instantly, his mind exploded. Emails, meetings, investors, his wife, Jake, dentist appointments, regrets. "Is your mind screaming right now?" Kenji asked. "Yes," Henry admitted. "Good," Kenji said calmly. "Now observe the thoughts. Don't fight them. Don't chase them. Watch them pass like cars on a road. You don't need to get into every car." Henry tried. It was harder than anything he had ever done. 5 minutes passed, 10, 15. And then, for just a few seconds, the noise stopped. No thoughts. No tension. Only awareness. Henry opened his eyes, startled. "Did you feel it?" Kenji asked. "Yes, I did. That is Mushin," Kenji said. "Empty mind. In that space, there is no anger, no fear, no impulse. Only clarity. The samurai trained this daily," Kenji explained, "because in battle, an extra thought kills you. In life, an extra thought makes you explode." Kanji stood and handed Henry a shinai, a bamboo training sword. "I'll attack slowly," he said. "Your task isn't to block. It's to sense the space between my movement and your response. That space is Ma." "I don't know how to use a sword," Henry protested. "It doesn't matter," Kenji replied. "This isn't about the sword." Kenji raised the shinai and moved. Henry reacted instantly, lifting his sword to block. "No," Kenji stopped him. "You reacted. I want a response. Feel the movement. See it coming. Then choose. They tried again. This time, Henry waited, observed, revved dot, and then moved. Better, Kenji said. Did you feel the difference? Henry nodded. The second movement felt different, not automatic, but chosen. In life, Kenji continued, you don't have Ma. Someone criticizes you, you explode. Things don't go your way. You react. No space. No choice. He paused, but Ma is something you create. One breath before responding. That breath becomes space. And in that space, you regain control. Henry thought of Derek quitting, of his wife's ultimatum, of Jake avoiding him. How many times did you react without that space? Kenji asked. Every time, Henry whispered. Kenji nodded. And now, you will train differently. An hour later, sweaty and mentally exhausted, Henry sat down again. There is a third principle, Kenji said softly. Perhaps the most important of all. He looked directly at Henry. Wabi-sabi. In 1643, a young samurai lost everything in a single moment of rage. His reputation, his position, almost his life, all because he failed to control one emotion for just 3 seconds. 3 seconds that changed everything. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You might be doing the same thing every day, reacting before thinking, exploding before breathing, damaging relationships, losing opportunities, and destroying your own peace of mind, not because you're weak, but because no one ever taught you real self-control. The good news? There is a method, a system based on 3 ancient Japanese principles that, when combined, create what modern neuroscience now calls elite emotional regulation, and what the samurai simply called the unwavering mind. The first principle is Mushin. No. Mind or empty mind. Not the absence of thought, but freedom from being controlled by your thoughts. The second principle is Ma, the space between things. The sacred pause between stimulus and response. That tiny moment where self-control is born. The third principle is Wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection. Radical acceptance that nothing will ever be perfect, including you, and how this acceptance prevents emotional explosions when life doesn't go as planned. These are not abstract philosophies. They are practical mental combat techniques, methods that turned impulsive warriors into masters of calm, clarity, and control. Today, you'll see exactly how these principles work through the story of Henry Miller, a man who almost lost everything until he discovered this method. Before we begin, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and tell me in the comments, when was the last time you reacted impulsively and regretted it later? And how do you usually deal with your emotions? Let's build a community of people who learn to master their own mind. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. Henry's breaking point. Henry Miller was 34 years old when his life began to fall apart. He was the VP of product at an artificial intelligence startup in San Francisco. Great salary. A team of 47 people. Industry recognition. On paper, he had made it, but inside, Henry was fighting a war no one could see. He exploded constantly. Meetings meant to last. 30 minutes turned into confrontations. Emails sent at 2 a.m. were filled with barely hidden frustration. Arguments with his wife began over nothing and escalated into shouting matches. His 8-year-old son, Jake, started avoiding him. "Dad's in a bad mood again," the boy would say. "It's better not to talk to him right now." And the worst part? Henry knew. He could hear the words leaving his mouth and think, "Stop, you'll regret this." But he couldn't stop. It was as if there was an automatic switch. Between emotion and action, no space for choice. Until the day everything collapsed. During a presentation to investors, Derek, the company's chief engineer, stood up and resigned in front of the entire team. I can't work like this anymore, Derek said calmly. Henry, you're brilliant, but you explode over everything. Nobody here feels safe to speak. Silence filled the room. Henry felt something break, not anger, but shame. That night, when he came home, his wife was waiting. Jake was already asleep. She had been crying. I can't do this anymore, Henry, she said. Jake is afraid of you. I'm afraid of you, not physically, but emotionally. I don't know how you'll react to anything. Either you change, or I have to think about what's best for me and our son. That's when Henry realized the truth. He didn't have an anger problem. He had a control problem, and if he didn't fix it, he would lose everything that mattered. Neuroscience explains why between stimulus and reaction. There is a tiny gap, 0.2 to 0.5 seconds in that moment. Your brain chooses. Do you let the amygdala take over, fight or flight? Or do you activate the prefrontal cortex, logic, reasoning, conscious choice? People who lack self-control don't choose. They react, and the more they react, the stronger that neural pathway becomes, until reaction feels automatic. But the samurai discovered a way out of this trap centuries ago. Chapter 2. The meeting with Kenji. 3 days after his conversation with his wife, Henry sat alone in a quiet cafe. He didn't know why he was there, just searching for something that made sense. That an older Japanese man sat nearby, calm, grounded, almost unmoving. He ordered green tea and opened an old book filled with Japanese characters. Henry was scrolling through work emails, frustration building, when he knocked over his coffee. Damn it, he said. Too loudly, The man looked up, and that moment would change everything.